best categorized as a large national provider. Amedisys operates home health and hospice programs across the United States and currently has 8 home health programs in North Carolina. Amedisys has a proposed purchase price of $3.5 million, and something similar that I think actually all 3 proponents proposed is that they're willing to complete due diligence within 30 days. That was something that was important to us because once we've started this process, we don't want the process to draw out for a long time. But that is not, Amedisys alone that's committed to that. They too will retain staff subject to satisfactory due diligence. And in your slide deck, you also see the historic charity care levels, which I'll note are significantly less than the previous proponent that I just mentioned. The last 3 years is at 0.248%, and the last fiscal year is at 0.2%. One thing I'll also mention about the Amedisys bid that's slightly different than the other 2 proponents is that the other 2 proponents have proposed to buy the intangible assets, or mostly just the intangible assets, including the certificate of need and the current license. And the Amedisys bid was a little bit different in that it also includes all equipment and furniture and fixtures used in home health. Third and finally, I'll go through the HealthView Capital Group proposal. This company, for everyone's benefit, is owned by an individual who has a depth of experience in healthcare, Mr. Sandy Roberson. And currently, HealthView Capital Group only operates one home health agency, and that's out in Nash County. HealthView popped up the entity to purchase that home health agency a few years ago. And for that reason, when you look through the proposal, you'll note that both BrightSpring and Amedisys have really robust benefits that they would offer to staff. And some of the things that you see in the other 2 proposals, you don't really see in this proposal. The bid price is at $1.85 million. And as I mentioned, it operates that one home health program out in Nash County. It too would be committed to completing due diligence in 30 days and would retain staff. But one thing I'll note is that they don't have current staff benefit plans, but would hope to do so before closing. They also don't have a service history because they're so new, but they believe about 1% is an appropriate goal for the agency. And with that, that's as I mentioned, just a brief overview. I know that as Mr. Jenkins mentioned, the full and detailed proposals have been available and provided, and then the slide deck that was prepared was also in your materials, but certainly happy to answer any specific questions that you may have for me tonight.
Any questions from board members? Mr. Jordan.
Thank you for your presentation tonight. I'm sorry we didn't have the screen up so we could follow along, but we do have your presentation on paper, so that was very helpful. BrightSpring, they retain staff. Does that include our subcontract staff, or is that simply our W-2 staff?
It's the W-2 staff is historically how these sales operate. Yes.
And that's what I would expect. I
But,
just wanted to clarify.
Excuse me, pardon me, Commissioner. One thing I'll just mention, though, is they would evaluate those contracts that we currently have in place with those subcontractors. And as part of due diligence, they'll evaluate the content of those contracts. And it very well may be that they might not employ those people. We don't employ them, but they may enter into contracts as well with them. That's how it typically works.
They said they can handle the entire service area, and all of all of those that submitted bids said they would accept the current caseload. Being on that board myself and Commissioner Barbie, they have intentionally done the best they can to lower that caseload and keep that caseload at a level that we can maintain lately while we pursue this. I'm assuming they both can and look forward to increasing that caseload as well, because there are people out there that would love to be part of this, would love to take advantage of home health. We just can't currently serve them. So they're aware of that, and they're ready for those new customers as well.
Oh, most definitely. One thing that Clifton Larson Allen made clear in the RFP was that the need for a serious commitment to not only the community, but all constituents. And so that would include that pediatric Medicaid population that is really critically important to serve.
Wonderful. I think that's all my questions.
Any other questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question.
On.
I know in the, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it,
Medicine, sir. Yes, sir.
it's close. Their bid's 200,000 higher than Bright Spring, but they want the equipment, furniture, and fixtures.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea what those are on our books at this time?
I don't know, Dave, I don't know if you have the answer to that question, Dave. But we don't. I mean, it's not $200,000 worth of equipment and furniture, Bill. The other piece that I think was critical for staff and the consultant in looking at these and you know, making a recommendation to the board is also the indigent care and the, you know, what these entities are willing to do from a nonprofit writing off. And, you know, at Bright Spring at 2.5 or 6% is considerably higher. And you think about the client caseload that we serve, we felt like that was a critical component of their proposal. So if you take that into consideration, in addition to the fact that they wanted all of our equipment and fixtures and tangible property, I mean, we felt like that significantly outweighed the difference in price. I mean, you know, it's one of those things, and the fact that you're talking about a national firm versus a regional firm. Advanced Home Care was here in Stanley County. There was Advanced Home Care, home health already in Stanley County, established, serving customers. So Bright Spring bought them, but they're already were serving customers here. So that was part of the difference for us. But certainly the amount of property is not $200,000 worth.
Do you know the breakdown for the layperson who may watch this later, how that 2.65% of charity, what does that mean in layman's terms? And how does that, what would the number be for fiscal 20 approximately?
Actually did some, I think took some notes on that.
And one thing I'll mention while Mr. Lucas maybe pulls some information, in the home health realm, the charity care is a little bit different in home health than it is in the hospital setting, because you think about, and I know we serve pediatric Medicaid patients, but you think about the population that's primarily served in the home health space being Medicare eligible. And so what's remarkable about this number to me is that it shows that they are not only just serving the Medicare base, but they're expanding it beyond that to folks that may need rehab and other services in the home space that otherwise wouldn't be really even accommodated by an agency similar in size. That's the way I've interpreted their specific number. Mr. Lucas, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to add that if you look at it, if that's, you know, based on gross revenue, you know, our typical gross revenue was in the 1.4 to 1.5 million dollar range. So, you know, just basing it off of that, you're in the $35,000 to $40,000 a year.
Any other questions from commissioners?
I've got one. I know it says here that that they're possibly interested in leasing short term.
Yes, sir.
Are they considering putting an office in Stanley County once they take over everything fully?
So the office, for CON purposes, must reside here in Stanley County. They can't move it out of Stanley County. So it will remain here. The short-term lease is to ensure that staff can be transitioned over, that for licensure purposes, the state prefers that it stay at least short-term in its current space. But yes, they would have to commit to remain in Stanley County and then continues to serve our residents.
Final questions?
Question. During the due diligence period, either company or any of these companies would say, hey, we want to back out, correct?
Yes, sir, it's possible.
Thank you.
Any final questions before I open the public hearing? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and declare the public hearing open.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there anybody here to speak against the due diligence letter or speak against the transition of this home health agency? Speak against. Anybody here to speak for?
Mr. Chairman, board members, my name is Jody Moore. I am the Vice President of Population Health and Post-Acute Services for Bright Spring Health Services. And thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak to you today about the transaction and potential transition of Stanley County Home Health to become part of the Bright Spring family of services. A little bit about my history. I joined Bright Spring about 9 months ago as a part of the Advanced Home Care acquisition. So I'm born and bred in North Carolina, just a little bit up the street in Greensboro, and have really actually enjoyed my transition into the Bright Spring family. And the opportunity I think this affords the citizens of Stanley County, I think you'll be well impressed. We're committed to maintaining the care that you've gotten to know and come to love out of your home health agency, and we'll just continue that and make sure that we're continuing to serve the Stanley County residents. And I think Commissioner Jordan asked the question if we were ready for an expansion. Yes, sir, we're ready to grow your agency and provide the care to a broader platform and bring the resources. We are looking at several real estate locations here in Stanley County, in Albemarle, to make sure that we continue that footprint and that service. And we'll be looking to add additional employees as we grow those services in this space. We're committed, and the one cool thing about this organization that I've come to enjoy is they're continuing what Advanced Home Care started as a not-for-profit in North Carolina in the 1980s. And we've now grown it, and we're continuing to grow. Our home health agency, which is 10 branches throughout the state, is continuing to grow and talking and spreading, and has a large footprint, which will only support the citizens of Stanley. Thanks for the opportunity to share with you a little bit about Bright Spring Health Services today. And if you have any questions for us, we're more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else here to speak for or against the acquisition or the sale? Yes, ma'am.
Just quickly, my name is Rexanne D'Amico. My home is Charlotte, North Carolina. I am the president of Home Health Care Services for Bright Spring and represent our company across the country for our home health, hospice, personal care services, and also rehab services. So I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity for us to expand the work that we've been doing in Cabarrus and Mecklenburg County and other counties surrounding into Stanley, and let you know how committed we are to completing the transaction timely, employing more people, and serving more residents in the county. So we thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else to speak for or against? Declare the public hearing closed. Is there any more discussion from the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Jordan.
to approve to make the motion to approve the staff to move forward with due diligence and a formal letter of intent with Bright Spring.
Commissioner Jordan has made a motion, and Commissioner Morgan has seconded a motion to move forward with a due diligence and formal letter of intent with Bright Spring. Is that correct? Is there any other discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Motion carries 7-0. And that brings us to item number 4 tonight, a board appointment to Consolidated Health and Human Services. Again, Mr. David Jenkins.
Good Commissioners, at our October 1st Health and Human Services Board meeting, the board unanimously recommended Ms. Laura Harbison, our psychologist member, to be reappointed. She had previously served a one-year term, has submitted an updated application, and is eligible and agreed to serve a four-year term. Being that psychologists are really difficult to come by on the Human Services Board, we are requesting that you hopefully approve and affirm the reappointment of Ms. Laura Harbison as our psychologist member for our Health and Human Services Board. Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Any discussion from the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Almond? A motion to approve Ms. Laura Harbison to a four-year appointment, I believe. Four-year appointment to the Consolidated Human Services Board. A second by Commissioner Barbie. Is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 5 on tonight's agenda is a consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda this evening? No, we'll seek a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve from Commissioner Morgan, a second from Commissioner Jordan. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion will carry 7-0. Is there anybody here to speak for public comment that has not already spoken this evening? All right, that'll bring us to board comment. We'll start this evening with Mr. Lawhon.
I'd like to give a thank you to our dental clinic director, Dr. Mindy Turner, and her staff. Recently, we were told that they received a $10,000 check from GlaxoSmithKline Child Health Recognition Award, and I think that Dr. Mindy and her staff do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lawhon. Commissioner Jordan?
We as commissioners have received a request from another taxpayer to remind the public about COVID-19. I think at this point, a lot of our citizenry are COVID weary, and I'm sure our health department staff and everybody else is too. Everybody's COVID weary, but we are about to approach the cold time of year where all these kinds of diseases and afflictions tend to get worse. As a public, in recent years, we are inundated on all sides with incredibly strong opinions, and everybody's got facts, and all the facts are direct contradiction with the other facts. And at the end of the day, I think on a national level, our medical people, our medical professionals and the CDC and our doctors and our health departments are guided by one defining factor: what's better for health. Our scientists and our economists are guided by what's best for the economy. Both of them are right in their own worlds, and irrespective of the other, they both have the perfect answer. But unfortunately, it's left to politicians to interpret all those things and give us guidance. It's tough. It's tough in an election year. It's tough in a normal year. It's definitely tough after 6 or 7 months of nonstop harassment about wear a mask, be distant. So we as people are just left to make the best sense of all this information that we can as adults. If you believe COVID is incredibly devastating, wonderful. Wear a mask, stand 6 feet apart. If you believe it's not, wonderful. Wear a mask and stand 6 feet apart. You know, it's the only way it's going to go away. If you can't, don't want to do that, and you're okay staying home, do that. I don't wear one at home. I don't think any of us do. But when I go out, I try to. I may not love them. I don't even like them, but we have to wear them. So people just do the best you can to get through this next few months. It's going to get a little bit worse. We're already seeing spikes in 34 out of 50 states, and today was the first day that we had 1 million people come back to the United States via airlines today. That's a lot. There's 1 million people that landed on this chunk of earth today from all countries across the world. It's gonna get worse. Bear with the government, bear with our own health department, who has done an amazing job and is doing the best they can under horrible circumstances to keep on top of this. So thank them, and everybody just stay safe. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Commissioner Barbie?
No comment.
Commissioner Furr?
No comment.
Commissioner Allman?
Just like to remind everybody that early voting is underway and Election Day is November 3rd. And also just to ditto Commissioner Jordan's remarks and congratulate him on his recent certification.
Commissioner Morgan?
I just ditto what, early voting's going on now. Right now it's time to make your voice heard. If you don't vote, can't complain, so get out there and vote.
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. I have no comment tonight myself, and we will seek a motion to go into closed session to discuss economic development in accordance with General Statute 143-318.11A4.
So moved.
Motion from Commissioner Jordan, is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries 7-0.